Basically, I'm going traveling soon for around about 18 months. I'll be backpacking around the Middle East and throughout Africa. And my current laptop is a little bit too heavy and a little bit the battery life is not sufficient. So I'm in the looking for a new laptop, and I've been looking at the Sony Vaios. And also the MacBook Air has sort of come into contention now, and basically I'm looking for something that is extremely lightweight, that doesn't compromise the screen size, but has extremely good battery, because that's what I found the problem is that the battery life is way too short on my current laptop.
Yeah, and I want to tell you that every manufacturer just lies about battery life. So I generally, cut it in half because I don't know where they get these numbers, but I have yet to use a laptop that gets near the battery life that these spec out. However, battery life is getting better. I wouldn't, the Air is beautiful. I mean, I have one right here. I mean, it is absolutely lightweight, thin, and gorgeous. But when you say battery life is paramount, that worries me, because while this has decent battery life, Apple's saying 5 hours. My experience has been more like 3.5 to 4. There is no removable battery. So there's no way to bring a second battery. Really, the best way to get battery life is to have multiple batteries, right? If you're flying to Africa from Australia, you're probably 12, 15 hours on the plane. This isn't going to do it. No laptop's going to do it. However, if you can bring an extra battery, you can at least double the laptop life. You can't do that on the Air. The Air, is a really beautiful notebook. I love it. I mean, it's gorgeous, but it has some severe design compromises. I'm not going to call them flaws, but they're compromises. For instance, no DVD player means no movies. You'd have to transfer them to the hard drive. And it's got a small hard drive. It's only an 80 gig hard drive. This one has a 64 gig hard drive because it's solid state. That's not a lot of storage for movies, data, pictures. Let me ask you, I should ask you up front, what are you going to do, Christy, with the notebook? What are the tasks you're going to put it to?
Basically, I'll be using it for, obviously, surfing the internet, so wireless connectivity is paramount, which they basically all have now. Also, updating my website, emailing, obviously, photo manipulation, video manipulation, as well as the storage device, because I'll have a lot of music because I'll be on the road a lot.
Sure you will. Again, the Air falls way short on that. I think the hard drive should be bigger. Instead of the Air, I opted for the cheaper and I think more powerful, although heavier, MacBook. I put a 250 gig hard drive in it. That's the current maximum. That gives me a lot of storage space. Plus, it has unlike the Air, it has a FireWire port, so I can bring a small external drive and double my storage. The MacBook's heavier, but only by a couple of pounds, and I think in many ways is much more functional. Now, you mentioned the Vaio. I love the Vaios too. It really comes down to Windows or Mac for you. The Sony Vaios are very thin. They're roughly the same price. This is the SZ series, and they start at $2,000. Similar capabilities, except for they have more battery life out of the box, and they have removable batteries, so you can, in fact, bring a second battery. I think that's a really good thing to have. They have more ports, more USB ports, FireWire ports, Sony calls them iLink. They have Express Card, which gives you a lot more functionality. You can have a card reader in there. You're taking photographs. A card reader would be really handy to have in your laptop. It does have, both of them have cameras, which I think is great if you're going to teleconference back to home, if you're going to call your friends in Sydney from the Middle East or Africa. Now you can choose different screen sizes. The SX has a 13-inch screen, exactly the same size as the Air. You said you wanted a big screen. That's going to set you back more. You can get larger screens, but larger screens also mean poorer battery life because the screens take a lot of juice. So a lot of times these very lightweight, long life computers tend to have slower processors and smaller screens. That's how they get more battery life out of them. So really, I think the decision for you, I'll be honest, given what you told me, I would either bite the bullet and get a heavier computer, the MacBook, or I would go with, I think the Vaio was a very good choice for you. There's also, Lenovo now has this new X300, which is comparable in thinness and weight to the MacBook Air, but has replaceable batteries and more ports as well, and a little more power, a little more juice, bigger hard drives, that kind of thing. But is considerably more expensive. I think they start at $2,500. So you have some interesting choices. Do you have a preference, Mac or Windows?
No, basically with Vista, with Windows, you're basically learning a new learning a new operating system.
You're starting over anyway.
It's so different.
Yeah.
So I'm not concerned about switching over to Mac. The only reason why I was interested in Mac is that it comes with a lot of prepackaged software as opposed to Windows.
Yeah. No, I like the Mac iLife package, which comes with all Macs. I would say I prefer Macs for home users. For the road, that's a little bit trickier because of these features that I talked about. I'm not going to decide Windows or Mac for you, but I think given what you told me, the MacBook Air, as beautiful and light as it is not a good option for you, just because it doesn't have a big hard drive and a removable battery. It's just that simple. So I would say either look at a MacBook, if you want a bigger screen, the MacBook Pro, the 15-inch. Those are bigger and heavier, but not astoundingly so. The MacBook's 5 pounds instead of 3. And the Sony Vaio is an excellent choice. I mean, I think these are excellent computers. Also look at the Lenovo X300. I think is a very good, very thin, nice computer. Have a great trip. When are you going?
I'm going to 32 countries in Africa. So
32 countries? You are a world traveler.
Yes, I am.
Do you do this professionally, or is this a hobby for you?
No, I left traveling a little bit later. I'm in my 30s now and decided that I need a bit of a career change and want to go on a holiday and decide what I want to do. 32
countries. Wow. I'm actually very jealous, Christy. You're going to have an amazing trip. Please call us when you get back, okay? Yeah. Let us know what you chose and how it worked out for you. Give us a real-world review.
Yeah, great.
Thanks, Christy. I really appreciate it. Have a great trip. Safe trip, too. No more bicycling downhill with cars. All right, let's wander over here. Oh.